Good morning, fourth grade. I hope you're having a great day. I thought I would let Abby teach our language class today. What do you think, Abby? You want to teach language today? April Fools. I hope you're having a great April 1st. Let's go ahead and get started with our language today. All right, Abby, time to go. I'll see you in a minute. Okay. We have been talking recently about verbs. Remember, a verb is a word, it's an action word. Now, those verbs can happen at different times. What do we call the verb that happens right now, or it's continuing to happen? We call those verbs what? Present. If you answered present, good job. Another tense is when the verb has already happened. What do we call that? If you answered past, good job. Now, I don't have the other tense up there today, but we know that that tense is called future, and it always has the helping verb will in front of it. Now, today I want to look at just a couple of things to remind us of our last language video, okay? Now, let's look at our first sentence. Isaac blank his bike. Good morning, Isaac. I hope you're having a good day. Isaac blank his new bike. Can you think of an action verb that would go in that sentence? I'm thinking of the word rides. R-I-D-E-S. Rides. Isaac rides his bike. When is that riding occurring? Well, it's happening right now, or it's continuing to happen. So we say that that action verb is a present tense verb. But what if Isaac already has ridden his bike for the day? What tense will we need? Past. Isaac righted his bike. I don't think that that's the right word that we need. Righted. I think we need a whole different word. What word do we need? Road. Road tells us that it has already happened. Did you notice how I could not just tack an ed to the end of that word? That is because this is another example of an irregular verb. An irregular verb does not follow the regular spelling rules that we talked about earlier by just adding an ed to the end. Let's look at the next one. Diego blank the ball. Good morning, Diego. Hope you're having a great day. Diego blank the ball. What action verb are you thinking of? See if yours matches mine. Throws. Let's see if I can write that a little neater. There we go. Ran out of room there. Diego throws the ball. There it goes. Okay. Now that's happening right now, or it's continuing to happen. If we want to show that Diego has already thrown that ball, can we just add an ed onto the end? Diego throwed the ball? No. Once again, this is an example of an irregular action verb. It does not follow our regular spelling changes. So it's going to require a different verb altogether. Diego threw the ball. The last time we were together, there was another item to that big chart that we talked about. For one column, it had the present tense verbs, verbs that are happening right now. Another column, it had the past tense verbs, things that have already happened. But it also had another column, and those were verbs that require a helping verb out in front. These helping verbs are has, have, and have. I like to refer to these three as the H brothers. Now, take a look at the chart that you're going to see in just a moment on your page, or on your screen rather. You guys are always so patient with me as I'm sharing all of my technology with you. This is the chart that I shared with you last time. And I shared with you a little clue. And I mentioned to you that this clue would not be found in any textbooks. I just kind of made it up. And I made it up because I wanted to find some similarities that the verbs have that needed a has, have, or a had out in front. And as I was looking down, I noticed that a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them had an N or a U somewhere in the verb. Now, I would like for you to look down this list and see if you can find any verbs that have a U or an N in them. There they are. I went ahead and put them once again in my favorite color for you, a different type of blue. Now, you probably noticed, well, Mrs. Evans, you didn't highlight all of them in blue. That's right, because this rule unfortunately doesn't work for every single one, but you're going to find out in today's lesson that it surely does work for a lot of them. Keep in mind, this is our chart from last lesson. These are the ones that need help. You need help. I noticed that the U and the N, I put those nice and big to remind you that the words that have a U or an N in them need an H brother out in front. Those H brothers are has, have, or had. This is our list for today. Look down the list of has, have, or had. Do you notice any verbs in the irregular verbs chart that have a U or an N in them? A lot. As a matter of fact, all of them do. And all of them are going to need some help. It works. I want you to see if you can try it today, okay? Now, as we are moving on, go ahead and open up your language book to our pages for today. I am on page 211. Remember, our page numbers will always be listed up on the board, as well as our language lesson for the day. Now, I went ahead and I've marked out what needs to be in the blank. Let's see if we can figure it out together, shall we? Come on, have a seat at the kitchen table. Let's get started. Complete each sentence using the correct form of the verb in parentheses. The verb that we're looking for is take. Oh, do you hear Abby coming back? I think she thinks she's going to teach this lesson. You can hear her clickety-clack on the floor. Mr. Johnson has blank woodworking classes at the nearby college. We need to use the form of the word take. But did you notice the H brother that came out in front? Take your pencil at this time and underline has 2 times. Once, twice, just like that. It's a verb. Verbs we always underline twice. Now, we need to think of the word take. Think of the irregular form of the word. Remember my clue. You need help. A lot of these verbs will either have a U or an N in them. Can you think of the verb? If you thought of taken, good job for you. If not, go ahead and take your pencil and write taken in the blank. Number 2, he blanked to the lumber yard yesterday to buy maple wood. Do you see an H brother? I don't, so it's not going to be driven. As I'm looking at this sentence again, I noticed a clue word. Let's try this one. Did you see that word yesterday? Yesterday is a clue to us that this sentence has already happened, and it happened in the past. Therefore, we need the past tense of the word drive. Drove. Notice once again, we did not choose driven because there is no H brother out in front. If you need to, refer back to the chart that's at the top of this page. That's the exact chart that I showed you earlier on the screen. Number 3, a scroll design always blank at the top of each table leg. We need the form of begin. Did you see any clues within that sentence? Well, I didn't see a clue like yesterday, today, forever. That kind of reminds me of our song, right? Hebrews 13:8, yesterday, today, forever. I didn't see any of those clues inside. Did you see an H brother out in front? No, I didn't see that either. So we know we're not going to choose the word begun. Which word will we choose? Begins. Now you might be wondering, why did we choose begins, instead of begin? Remember, if you're using present tense verbs, the present tense verb must always agree with the subject. What is the subject of that sentence? Design. Is design singular or is design plural? Design is singular. Singular means one. Therefore, we need to have the singular verb. Singular verbs end in S. Yes, that's why we chose begins and not begin. Number 4, the veneer blank the table a smooth surface. Do you know what veneer is? Veneer is kind of like a liquid sealer or a liquid polish that some people put on wood to make it all shiny and slick and smooth. Veneer. The veneer blanked the table a smooth surface. The word that we're going to be using for our action verb for this sentence is give. But of course we need a form of it. Do we see any words in this sentence that gives us clues whether this has happened in the past or it's happening right now? I don't see any clues myself, but when I think of this sentence, if I'm putting veneer on something, I hope it's continuing to do that even today. So for my preference, I would use the present tense. However, they're going to use both. They're going to show you both. We would never use both, but the one that I would use is going to be gives. But if you thought of that in the past and wrote gave, that's okay too. Our last one for today, number 5. We have blanked the table in their living room. The action verb that we're using is see. Do we need to take a look and see if there's any clues? Well, of course we do. Now, I don't see anything in this sentence that tells us where it's happening in the past, like last week, last month, last year. But did you notice that there is an H brother in this sentence? There is. Go ahead and take your pencil and underline it twice. This reminds me that I need to choose the verb that has a U or an N in it. Why? Because you need help. Seen is the verb that we're going to be choosing now. Okay, we've had an opportunity to work some of these together. What I would like for you to do at this time is go ahead and turn the page and work beginning at the top where it says independent practice all on your own. Do the best that you can, circle any that you have any struggles with, and we'll discuss them in our FaceTime together either today or tomorrow. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.